right, so yesterday, Brit Marling dropped by.
Yeah, she's on the cover of W Magazine. She's in a lot of films, right? Arbitrage.
There she is, and she produced and wrote a new movie. It's called The East. There it is. It's out now.
It stars Ellen Page, the actress.
Ellen Page was here, and we spoke to them yesterday about this new movie, and maybe you can tell that one of us is extremely impressed with one of our guests. Roll it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I always thought eco-terrorists were bad guys. You're kind of easy on them a little bit in this.
Well, I mean, I guess we think of it, we wanted to make a movie about eco-anarchy and green anarchy, and which was the movement that people didn't know very much about until Occupy Wall Street blew up, and that sort of was the first time mainstream media was giving coverage to these sort of activist groups.
So you co-wrote this and produced this film, correct? And how did you go about your research? I heard you met some very interesting people while you were researching.
Well, it's funny, we weren't researching. It was the summer of 2009. It was before I was acting or Zal was directing. And we were just two young people who didn't know what they wanted to do with their lives yet, and so we spent a summer traveling, and we learned to train hop, and we lived on organic farms and lived in anarchist collectives and
ate out of garbage cans.
Learned to dumpster dive.
Stop it.
Which, it changes your perspective. You realize that a lot of this country's waste is actually abundance, that there's good food that just has to be moved out because it expires or because new food comes in, and when you take that food and then make meals and give it to kids who are going to bed hungry in this country, it opens your mind to how we waste things.
Oscar buzz. And then, I think you are carefully picking and choosing your next option. Am I wrong with how your career is going right now?
No, I just try and, I've been really fortunate and I'm really grateful that I've gotten to do things that I think that I feel passionate about or are different or unusual and trigger something in me that makes me excited to live with a certain character and story for a while. And so I feel fortunate to have been able to do that.
At the end, it seems like there's hope. You're keeping hope alive by recruiting all these agents and turning them that you, Brit Marling, as a screenwriter, came out on their side.
I think as screenwriters, Zal and I came out on the side of trying to navigate your own way. I think it was clear after her experience that working in corporate espionage wasn't something Sarah could continue to do. And I think it was also clear that she couldn't stay with the anarchists because some of the members of that group were willing to harm people to sort of achieve a greater end or awakening. And so I think Sarah at the end is like, I've got to figure out a third way.
That's true. You're doing it your way because you blow off the guy.
She blows off the guy.
And you're just kind of trying to reason with people. All right,
All right, I have to ask Brit about Arbitrage. Filmed in New York, right?
Yeah.
And you lived in New York besides this film when you were working at Goldman Sachs at one point?
I did, yeah.
So this was like sort of good research foreshadowing your experience at Arbitrage?
Yeah, maybe on some level it was a life I could have lived and did not, or decided to live in a movie life instead of in real life, yeah.
What was your time like in New York City when you were here?
It was amazing. I loved shooting that film. We shot epic locations, beautiful places, and in Central Park, that scene with Richard Gere, we really got to just scream at each other for like 3 hours in Central Park. By the end, there was like a crowd that had formed around Richard that was sitting up on the sort of slope of the rocks. It was like we were doing Shakespeare in the Park. It was like King Lear, but I'm playing her.
Brit's in it.
No,
Ellen's in it. She's being an actress.
Ellen's in
Why are you not like embracing the fact that you're an X-Men,
Yes, I'm an
right?
X-Men, yeah.
And?
Oh, and I'm thrilled. I was in the third X-Men movie when I was 18, and it was an absolute surprise that it came up again, the opportunity to play Kitty Pryde, and I'm just thrilled. Bryan Singer's directing it. It's all the new cast, like, the amazing Jennifer Lawrence and James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender and more, and then all the old cast, and it's, I think, going to be really incredible, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be back playing Kitty Pryde.
So you go from a nice little small indie film to like this big blockbuster, hopefully, right?
Yeah, and I'm grateful for it. I mean, to be able to have that diversity and to be able to have experiences on different sets and experience different kinds of filmmaking and the challenges that arrive in both atmospheres, and to work with so many talented people. I mean, I'm just so fortunate.